Today, we are speaking to a very special guest and celebrating the Girls Aloud Show 2024 tour with dance captain and assistant choreographer Claudimar Neto. Welcome, Claudimar, to CCTV.
Thank you so much for having me. Absolute pleasure.
Yes, we, of course, both flew from New York City to go see the Girls Aloud show. We went to the Aberdeen show together, and then I also attended to the Glasgow shows, and then literally just got back 2 days ago from the UK from seeing you all at Brighton Pride as well. So, of course, Claude, we have been watching you for many years because we are also huge fans of Little Mix. So we actually watched that live stream of their last show together when you gave that beautiful speech. So it is such an honor for us to have you on the show today.
Oh, thank you so much. That's I'm blessing now. Thank you.
Yes,
pleasure's all mine. Pleasure's all mine. I can tell super fans. I love it.
Yeah, of course, because we were dancers once upon a time, maybe not like your level, but we were dancers. So we appreciate watching the full scope of everything and watching the people involved, because people don't realize, like, you all are not just background dancers, you're support, you're sometimes emotional support, you're costuming, you're striking things off the stage. So it's really awesome to talk to you and talk about all the dancers that you work with. But if you are a viewer or a listener and you're excited for this interview, give us a like. Click that subscribe button, and you can also join us on Patreon at patreon.com/CCTVPops. We do have a free tier, so come on and hang out with us and our CCTV producers, Emily, George, Lily, Louie, and Juliet.
That's right. All right, so let's get into it. So before we talk about Girls Aloud, Claude, we'd love to just learn more about your dance experience. What led you to dance, and how has life been for you as a professional dancer?
I mean, I grew up basically dancing. I don't think I know anything else. My family is African. I was born in Angola, and my background is kind of Brazilian and Portuguese. So I grew up doing salsa and samba. So it's always kind of been a part of my family and growing up. So from what I can remember, I pretty much always wanted to dance. And like when we moved to the UK when I was about 11, 12 years old, there was so much more when it came to dance that I never knew about, like different styles, and that I could do it professionally. So I think from about 12 years old, I had it set in my mind that that was it. That was exactly what I was going to do. And there was no ifs or buts around it. It was just the goal. So yeah, no, I've pretty much, just always wanted to do it my whole entire life. So I don't know anything different.
Born to dance, dancing out the womb.
Exactly.
Love that. So what was that first gig that you got that made you feel like, you know what, I done made it, I did it?
Well, I went to musical theatre school. Like here in the UK, we have dance schools that you go to for about 3 or 4 years, depending on the level that you're at, which you get a degree from, or a national diploma. Like you guys have like Juilliard and Alvin over there. As here we have so many more different types of schools, and you train not just in dance, but you do musical theatre as well, and acting and singing. So you go across the board and try and find where you sit best. So I went to a school like that called Erdang for 3 years, and I worked very, very, very hard. And that on my last year, I booked a tour for an artist called Beth Ditto, who's actually from Canada. And she was in a band called The Gossips. And then that was pretty much my first gig. I hadn't even graduated yet. And we were touring, we were going to Europe, we were doing Australia. And I think that was when the moment I was like, oh, this is happening now. This is the real deal. I'm performing in front of thousands and thousands and thousands of people. Like never, when it's a dream and you can never put it into words when it comes to reality, what it feels like. That's what that moment was. And I think I've been able to hold on to that my whole entire career of 15 years and still feel exactly the same way today. Like even just the other day at Brighton Pride, I still go out on stage and look out and go, oh my God, I'm actually still doing this. Like it's still real. Like is it happening? Is it not? Like I still get that same feeling. And that's something that I'm quite proud of myself for doing, holding on to the passion and the love of it, for the reason why I started and the reason why I'm still doing it now.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I think both of us have a lot of friends that are in the dance community or have been in the dance community, and we know how tough it is, like, to live that kind of audition life, and how tough just touring life is too. So major respect for that. So after that tour, you have had some amazing experience. You've worked on shows like The X Factor, Queen of the Universe. You danced on tour with Little Mix. So do you have a proudest accomplishment so far?
I think Little Mix played such a big part in my career. I was actually out for lunch with Leanne yesterday. We're just catching up because I hadn't seen her in ages. And we were just sat there and we were just like looking back and just thinking, freaking out, like we did that for what, 12 years? 12 years, like back to back. Every year we were touring, we were together all the time, like to then 2 years ago doing the last tour and then like still seeing each other, but not as frequent as you would every day. So yeah, but I think my proudest moment would probably be the whole entire entity of Little Mix. I think that taught me a lot. I grew as a person, I grew as a man. I learned so much about myself. I learned so much about the career path I wanted to go into. They helped guide me in the right direction. Hence why I'm choreographing a lot more now. They nurtured me in that way. They pushed me out of my comfort zones. There was times they asked me to choreograph and I didn't feel like I was ready, but they were like, no, we think you can do it. So there's a lot of lessons that I definitely got from that. So I think Little Mix as a whole entity, I think it's probably my proudest moment. But one particular one that I remember so clearly in my mind was performing at Madison Square Gardens with them for the first time. That's always been a dream of mine, and able to do that, I cried my eyes out at every single song. It was probably one of my favorite moments of all time.
Was that the Ariana Grande tour?
Yes.
Oh my God, I was there. I went to that.
Way. We came out for Wings, and the main stage was a walkway, and there was a T-shape at the front. And we came out, I was on my GoPro. I actually have the video with me still.
Oh, wow.
And I remember on the GoPro, all you can hear me is like, the whole entire song is hilarious. Right, I was such an emotional person. Oh, so dramatic.
That's valid. Me too. I'm a crybaby.
Yeah, so I think that was probably my one of my proudest moments for sure.
See, that's exactly what we're talking about. That connection that you have is not just I'm a dancer. Like, these are friends. These are people who believe in you. Almost a mentor, or at least like a mutual respect kind of level. And that's so, so important. So we're just going to move right along and talk about your career with Beth Honan.
I mean, she's something else. The woman is a machine. If you look at her body of work alone, like, she goes back to the X Factor shows. She did One Direction. She helped put Little Mix together. She helped Girls Aloud, like, build their whole entire career. So she's worked with, like, the masses of artists. And then even going back to her dance career, because she was a dancer beforehand as well. She was in the Lido in Paris, so she was a showgirl for a while. Then she did Westlife, which was another boy band. Yeah. She was a dancer for them. She danced for Javine, who was also a massive British artist over here. So she's like, she did her dance career, and then she catapulted herself into the industry as a choreographer. And she's been one of the leading choreographers here in the UK. Like, she's done everything and everything. And I was so lucky that she saw something in me from a really young age. And she kind of like put me under her wing, and she taught me everything that I know really when it comes to choreographing. She was definitely a massive inspiration. And she taught me everything when it comes to directing, cameras, lighting, all of it. She would sit me down and we'll be doing a production rehearsal. And if I wasn't part of the production, she would just invite me to come and sit with her. So she would be teaching me stuff as I'm just sat there. She'd be like, write this down, do this. And as I was going along the way without realizing, she was just preparing me for where she wanted to put me. And and I became her assistant. And now I'm her choreographer. So she doesn't choreograph as much. She kind of like directs a lot more, and I step in and choreograph for her. And for myself, but a lot of the show that she does, I do with her. Yeah, she's incredible. And I mean, she put the whole entire show together. Like the Girls Aloud Show, that was all her. All her. Her mind is just something else. Something else.
Yes. On behalf of all the Girls Aloud fans, we have a lot to thank for her. Like, she did so much, like all those iconic dance moves from back in the day, like were all her.
Yeah.
Like it was always fun whenever she would show up, like in the documentaries and stuff. You'd see the rehearsal footage. So yes, thank you, Beth. You are amazing.
We love Beth.
Yes, yes, we do. So were you a fan of Girls Aloud before you joined the show? I think you danced with them like at one promo appearance, right? Like for something new, but this is kind of your first big project. So were you a fan before, and do you have any favorite songs from the discography?
So I actually I mean I watched the show when I was a kid when they won the show and they were put together. So Son of the Underground was like my soundtrack of my childhood.
Yes.
So when I graduated out of college, that was their first 10-year anniversary. That was when I graduated out of dance school. And I went away for a while. I was doing Still Alive, which is a musical based on Michael Jackson. I was touring, and I ended up coming back to do the West End, and I had some time in the week, and I got asked to perform with them, and I was like, okay. So ended up doing it with them. That was my first TV performance here in the UK ever. And yeah, it was when they released something new. And I did Children in Need, and I also did Strictly, which is like a Dance with the Stars over there. And yeah, that was my first performance with them, and it's just weird how 10 years later, when I'm kind of like decided to kind of retire, that was my first job, and yeah, that was now my last job. It's just full circle. That is crazy.
That is wild.
Yeah, right?
You know, life is lifing for you. I love that.
It really is. I was like, damn, that would make the start. Was this already in the start? Like, I don't understand.
Go read those signs.
Crazy.
Yeah, so for the tour, you were, as you mentioned, made dance captain and assistant choreographer in a group of 10 male dancers. So for people who don't know, what does that role entail?
I mean, right, so our rehearsal schedule was a lot. Like, we did 5 weeks from Monday to Friday. And then if there's extra stuff that needs to be done, I would go in on a Saturday and work on some stuff with Beth and the other assistants, Jeanette. And it was a lot of work because there's a lot of work to do in the time that we had. But everyone worked extremely hard and just really like threw themselves into it. It did get to a point like everyone's bodies were just like feeling it, really feeling it. But I guess that's when I kind of have to step in and keep the morale up, keep everyone going, push everyone, help everyone out. I had to learn my track, and I also had to learn the 4 girls track, and then I had to learn all the 10 boys track. So I had to know what everyone was doing. So if anything happened on the road, then I was able to fix it. And actually, one of the boys got really ill, James, and we had to reblock the show with 9 dancers instead. There's a lot of jigging and moving people around, and you have to move the scale. A lot of people had to change some of the things. So yeah, so that's kind of like what it kind of entails in my role as dance captain. And then as an associate, also I was choreographing. So I was coming home, creating stuff, going back to the next day, trying to learn what I was doing, and also teach everything else to everyone. Like, it's what I trained for. It's exactly what I trained for. I love feeling like I'm being used to my full potential. So then I'm like, I throw myself into it, and I love it. I get so much thrill out of it.
Nice. That's awesome.
Great.
Yeah, I guess speaking of even just before the rehearsals start, obviously you have to choreograph and the actual show has to be put together. So how involved were you with kind of Beth's creative direction, and what was kind of the favorite aspect for you when kind of putting the show together?
Well, Beth actually, when it comes to the creative direction of the whole entire show, that was all her. She literally set design, the visuals, what she wanted on stage. Obviously, there was a collaboration with her and the 4 girls, but it was really just her vision. It was her baby, and they trust her full-heartedly. So I was just more involved when it came to the creating of the choreography, which again, I know her mind really well. I kind of know where she's gonna go with things. So I kind of preempted myself with some of the ideas that I had, knowing what she would like. And then we went into the studio, just me and her, for a couple of days, worked on some stuff, started putting pieces together. We did on the Metro first, because that was actually the first track we started on. And yeah, we kind of just like messed around a bit in the studio. We were just like playing. and seeing what comes up and what she wanted, how she felt about certain songs, what direction she wanted to take certain songs in. There was like other things that it was going to be in the show, it just didn't fit, so she would change things quite drastically as well. But yeah, no, the process was always really easy and simple because she just knows what she wants. So that makes it such an easier job when I'm assisting her to create, because I know where her mind wants to go, and she's really clear on how she wants things done, and she's really clear on what her vision is. So it's really easy to create for that.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, you have all these ideas coming and going. You have choreography, you have music direction, lighting, staging, and of course the girls themselves and management. So with all of these ideas being presented, were there any like really tough decisions or compromises that you all had to make while creating the show and the choreography?
I think because Beth is so like anal about everything, there wasn't anything that needed to be changed drastically, because she knew everything. Like, and when I tell you, everything is timed perfectly. She knows where everything sits, the way she explains things, and then she brings it to life. It just makes so much sense. She almost puts you at ease before you even see it come to life. You just know you're going to be in good hands because it's so thoroughly explained and so thoroughly thought about that there's no room for question.
Whoa.
She'll tell you, you have to walk 8 steps from this side of the stage to over there, and you're gonna make it to that mark. And you're like, okay, and then you do it, and it's spot on. Like she's thinks about every little detail.
Wow.
Like how she wants her hands being held. How do we hold our fist? How low it's supposed to be. Like she knows everything. It's brilliant.
I was going to say it's brilliant.
Yeah, I think we have definitely worked with choreographers and directors that are not that anal about things, so we understand how important that is. Yes.
That's amazing. You're so lucky.
And it's funny because I do work for other people as well, and I see such a difference in how some people work, and I just go, oh, this is really awkward because I'm not used to this. And I had it.
That's happened to me this week, and I was telling Chris I was away working because I started a new position, and I was like, you spoiled me. I'm so used to something, but we're so tight. I cannot. So it's hilarious. That's hilarious, but that's great to know, though. That's great to know. So that means anything else that came up forward for you all, like, oh, the dancer being sick, that's like things you really can't control, but everything else up until that point was just bone apple teeth. Like, I love that.
Yeah, she's insane. And the girls trust her so much, and they understand. Like, she may explain something and they don't get it, but they trust her enough to go with it. Sure. And I think everyone around also feels the same, because you just know she's going to deliver. There's never been a time that she's never delivered. So there's no room for question, which is great.
Ooh, the trust. Love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice. So what was the process like choosing the other 9 dancers that joined you for the tour? It kind of looked like you were partnered with an agency, the way it looked. And then we recognized a lot of these dancers from other big pop shows as well. So yeah, what was that process like?
Yeah. Well, Beth actually wanted to have an audition. She was very particular on the type of dancers she wanted to have on the show. She auditioned them all. And she just basically wanted a eclectic mixed group of dancers. And it wasn't necessarily about being the best dancer. It's about what's required for the show. Like, you had obviously some of the guys that are a bit more feminine, that obviously are required to dance in heels, and some of the other guys had to be a lot more masculine. So there was definitely, she wanted an eclectic mix of guys, different looks, different colors, different ethnicities, just a mix. But she was very particular on who they were as people as well. She's very particular in that. She doesn't want bad energies around. She doesn't like people that are not there for the right reasons. Because again, the show, we're part of the show, we're not the main attraction. And that's something that some dancers tend to forget at times, is that it isn't about you, it's about you supporting the artists to make them better and greater. And she just wanted people that were going to be there for the love and passion for what they do for the arts, not necessarily being there, oh, I'm on stage on one of the biggest tours. Which again is valid. You're allowed to feel like that, but there's a difference when you're supporting the artist or you're trying to be the artist yourself. And I think she really thought about who she was going to put on the tour. Because again, 10 guys, it's a lot of testosterone. That's a lot of energy to try and deal with. So yeah, she definitely took her time picking as she wanted. And I think she got a spot on, to be quite honest. Like every single boy that was on that tour, incredible, amazing human beings, worked extremely hard, like just wanted to do the best for the show. But to the point there was like, they were getting frustrated at times when they were messing up. Because I didn't want to get it right. Like, which is great to have, which is so good to have.
Yeah, I always tell people, like, you got to think about the name on the front, front of the jersey as opposed to the one on the back. I respect that. Oh, to be a part of such a nice team. And you guys were rehearsing for the 5 weeks you mentioned, right? So
yeah.
What was the rehearsal process for the tour? You mentioned those 5 weeks, but what was like a day to day once you finally got started?
So we started around 9:30 in the morning every day. We'll do our own personal warm-ups. If we need to do, then we'll do a group warm-up with the girls once they come in. But first thing in the morning, we'll probably recap what we did the day before, just refresh it, get it back into our systems, and we tend to move on to a new track before the full girls arrive. Once they arrive, then we'll do a warm-up with them. Then we'll probably run everything that we've done so far, and then we'll move on to a new track. So that was kind of like the basis of the day. After lunch, we'll probably carry on learning the new track or move on to the next one if we can get that first one done and out of the way. There was also days that they would obviously have to go into sound. So they were doing all the vocal arrangements and obviously picking and choosing who was going to sing what when it comes to Sarah's lines. And which one thing that I really loved about them is that there was so many iconic lines that none of them took. They wanted to play Sarah's voice. They wanted Sarah to be a part of the show, which was insanely amazing. And how Beth put that together to make it seem that she was so present throughout without making it such a sad thing. It was done so tastefully. Like, that was incredible. So that's pretty much what the day was like. It was like first thing in 9:30 in the morning, then we'll finish around 6. Yeah. It was a long day.
Yeah.
Long day.
You mentioned obviously that everyone was working really hard. The bodies were really feeling it. What were some of the biggest challenges that you had during the rehearsals?
The first couple of weeks was fine. It just then we moved studios into a bigger space, which then the floor just wasn't as great. So we were all feeding in our legs a lot. But then we ended up getting this incredible physio that was pretty much with us every other day. His name is Paul, and he was just basically a lifesaver. Like, everyone somehow, he created magic. Like, so when I first got injured during COVID, I was told I would never be able to dance anymore. And he was the only person that was able to get me back on stage in the space of 4 months. Hence why I then ended up doing the last Little Mix tour, because I wasn't going to do it because I wasn't able to dance. So we had him on the tour and he basically just saved everyone. But apart from the floor, it was just mainly retaining the amount of content we had to retain in that space of time. Because 5 weeks sounds like a long time, but when you're learning a new, like 2 or 3 numbers a day, it's like the brain cannot take it all in. Like, I was like, I need to figure something out because the brain is not braining. And we need to find life somewhere. But no, it had been fine in the end, but it was definitely, the first couple of weeks were a lot because we had to try and learn as much as possible. So that definitely took a toll on the body and definitely a toll on the brain for sure.
Oh, that's valid. You take care of yourself, mister.
Yeah,
okay?
I do.
Okay. All right, so just on the other side of that, were there any fun stories or fun moments from choreographing and rehearsing for the show?
You know, it was more the trial and error things that we were like, oh, we need bodies to try them on, and then we'll do it. We'll be like, that, whatever that was, let's do that. So there was definitely a lot of those moments. Like, which one can I think of? Jump, just, we didn't even choreograph the number. It just kind of happened by accident. And we was like, okay, this feels natural, it feels right, let's just run with it. So there was a few numbers that were kind of like that just, it naturally just came out. we had such a ball in rehearsals. We literally laughed every day. It was hectic because 1 second we're like, okay, we actually need to stop and focus because we're not going to remember any of this because we're laughing too much. But it was just such a great environment to be in. Like, I always say that I don't work to work. I work to have experiences, and I work to have moments and cool memories. And stuff like that, being in the space in a room where every single person is there for the right reasons, everyone's working extremely hard, but still able to have so much fun and create those cool memories. That's why I do it. And that's why I was like, yeah, this is it. This is a great team. Great team.
Perfection.
Oh, that's really good to hear. So how much did the show actually change between the first kind of rehearsal day and the concept at the time to that final production rehearsal before the tour started?
There was a few little probably like track changes that they originally wanted to put in the show. They couldn't, and then the show was too long, so then we had to cut down a little bit because they didn't have too many songs. Like, you can't fit everything in. But again, because Beth is so clinical, there wasn't that much of a drastic change. It was just things that obviously the show being too long, we just had to take out. But the show itself, what originally she had in mind, what it was going to be to what it ended up being, was pretty much exactly how she envisioned it, which is always incredible to see something come to life like that. But yeah, there wasn't anything too crazy change-wise. Again, she planned this. It took her about 8 or 9 months to create that whole entire show, beginning to end, on paper before we even got to the room. So she knew where everything lived.
Wow. Oh, so cool. Superwoman.
Yeah.
Superwoman. Wow.
She is. She really is.
Crazy. Okay, so rehearsals are done. It's time to start this tour. Tell us, give us all an insight. How tough is that tour schedule? What's the show day look like for you? You get up and then bam, what happens?
So, okay. I mean, this was a hard one because we were doing 2 shows back to back, then we have a day off, and then we'll have 3 shows back to back, then a day off, then 2 shows. But not all of our days off were days fully off. Some of those days off we had to travel. So it means that we're probably doing a 5 or 6 hour drive. Even though we were on a tour bus, it's still kind of strenuous on the body. So it definitely, there was days where like, can we actually do this? Because it was a hard show. It was a hard show. There's like, I think halfway through it when we do Sexy No No No, that whole intro with the dancers where we're just running around the whole entire set, that was the moment where you're like, oh yeah, that will do it. That will do it. Because I'm about to pass out and no one's left me. Like, it was hard, but somehow we did it every night. It was weird. So I would wake up in the morning, first thing. Most times I would try and get a workout in. I think I did a workout 5 times in the space of 2 months because I was like, I'm too tired for this. And we'll pretty much just have breakfast. Then we'll probably head into the arena for like around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, depending on if it was a new venue or if it was the same venue that we did the night before, because we normally have lunch at the arena. Then we'll probably do our own warm-ups. If we need to see the physio, then we have a physio there. If there's anything that needs to be fixed in the show, then I'll go and fix it. Prior, I was doing sound check. Sound check was normally around 3:30, 4 o'clock. The sound check would be like running some of the songs if the girls needed to, checking some of the choreography stuff if it was necessary. I would do notes from all the male dancers. Then we'll just check the stage, check our quick changes areas to see if everything's set. And then we'll pretty much have the rest of the day to chill and do whatever we want until showtime, which normally it would be between 8:45 or 9 o'clock. And we'll do our warm-up prior to that. If the girls want to do a warm-up, I'll go do a warm-up with them. But they normally were really good at just warming themselves up. And then we'll go straight into the show. Which was, again, it's like you take a deep breath before you start and you go, right, let's give everything we've got today and just go with it. And then you just press play, you're like, it's happening.
2 hours, let's go.
Literally,
gosh.
it was just like, go the whole entire time.
So we'll get into the individual songs and all the moments, but what are some highlights for you from across the tour? Are there any cities or crowd interactions or funny moments that stand out?
I'd say, you know what, people always say that dance, we're just dancing, not saving lives. And it's really ironic because you get to see people in the audience really go through a journey of emotions. And just those 2 hours, there's almost like a sense of escapism where nothing else in the world matters. And there's this like surge of energy, the endorphins, and everyone's in that same vibe in that moment in time. And it's nothing that you can recreate. It's like that moment is always going to be that one moment. And there were so many of those on this tour because of what I think they mean to people, what the tour meant to people, the emotion behind the tour. And there was just a lot of days that we would be walking into the arena and there'll be like people outside waiting to like say thank you, or just like saying, oh, I lost my sister a couple of years ago coming to the tour, watching Sarah's tribute just made me release a lot. Like those moments are something that I always hold dear to my heart. So I'm like, these are incredible experiences that, again, you don't know what you're doing for somebody until you actually feel it and see it. And you're like, oh God, no, we are slightly changing their lives here. And there was definitely a few, there was a little boy, well, not a little boy, I think he's like 16 years old, but he's in a wheelchair, and he came to watch, I think, like 20 of the shows out of the 32 shows, and he took pictures of us, videos of us, he would send it to us, and at the end of the tour, he made a little card for all the dancers, and he made one of those friendship bracelets with all of our names on them, and Girls Aloud, and he just wrote the nicest message. And to think that somebody who's probably going through so much in their lives, like, is probably like holding on just to hold on, and still being able to come and support every single night and be out on that, or just living his best life and experience it for that, what that moment is for him, because it may never come again. So meeting people like him, that's what I always look forward to on these tours. And I again, the reason why I think I love touring so much is to have those exact experiences. Like it's definitely like a moment. I'm such an emotional person. Oh my God,
Me too.
I cry like that.
I mean, yes, the show was very emotional as well. Like you said, obviously the girls have gone through a big journey. Obviously, all the Sarah, stuff happened as well. And the show did such a good job of having kind of that melancholy kind of throughout it, but then it was also very joyful as well. So this show also, especially for a pop show, was a very big roller coaster of emotions, I think, for everyone too. So thank you. It was so good. But yeah, so were there any big like mishaps during the tour? I know we've seen some fun footage of like the motorcycles not coming off, so they have to like do maneuver around them, or just little things like that. Were there any big situations you ran into?
Well, in some arenas we had to change the show slightly, just because, again, those bikes flying over, if the roof was too heavy, then the bike couldn't fly over, so they would just have to go up and then go back down. So there was like little changes like that. There was one night the pink curtain that dropped at the beginning of the show got stuck. We were like, oh, and somehow one of the guys, the crew, they were an incredible crew as well, managed to get it down. There was like little moments that you guys probably would have noticed, like the floor was really slippery, or all the dancers were slipping all over the place. Like one of the girls nearly fell, one of the dancers caught her really quickly. So there's like so many like little bits like that happen, but it keeps it exciting. You're almost just like, you just gotta roll with it. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen.
True.
But nothing too crazy. Like the team that Beth has, she's a perfectionist, so they know she's a perfectionist. So everyone is always on top of their game, which is, again, amazing to have, because a show that big needs people that are going to be like completely on it.
Definitely.
Nice. Yes. Well, you navigated all of that very well. I think the funniest one was probably the motorcycles not leaving, because I think they were just trying to get around them, with those mic stands. Like
they were like, where do we go? So just stop between bikes.
All right. So let's get into the show. So Act 1, it had Untouchable, the show, Something New, Love Machine, Can't Speak French, Biology, and a whole lot of history. And this first act kind of had a showgirl-esque theme. And we had the dancers in these nice suits as well, dancing with these very glamorous women. So what was kind of the feeling or atmosphere that you were trying to create for this act?
It was more that, like, Beth definitely had the vision of bringing their show going, because Girls Aloud always had that showgirl feel to them, but they were also quite cool and quite edgy. And she wanted to really showcase pretty much all the elements of who they are and were. And that first act, again, is just embodying what they kind of are as the showgirls that they are. And it just, I think it was just like a really nice, easy way into the show to like blend in with all those songs. Like my favorite track is definitely Love Machine. And that first act, I love performing Love Machine because it's just so full of character, and you were able to really connect with the audience. Like the girls were so committed to the characters. Like we were moving around all over the place. So I love Love Machine. And I think the show into something new, those two tracks, gold to me. Gold, love it.
Yes.
Yes to all of that.
Yeah, literally, because we're going to talk about a little bit later. You mentioned your favorites. We have our favorites too that we want to tell you because bone apple teeth, okay? Bone apple teeth, please. But yeah, so Girls Aloud already had all these amazing, iconic choreography attached to a lot of their songs. So how was the process finding that balance between the original choreography and then blending those new elements? Like, for example, Can't Speak Friends has often had ballroom-inspired choreography, but this time there were added elements of the fans, darling, and also having the dancers split into more feminine and masculine teams. So what was that all about?
Yeah, again, that was all Beth's vision. She definitely just wanted to bring it to what the current world is now. And obviously back then when Girls Aloud were out, probably you wouldn't have seen as many feminine male dancers in the industry. And she was like, the song asked for that French kind of feel of things and that ballroom feel, and it feels very Vogue-like a little bit. So she wanted to have the elements of that and create a just like a French feel, but adding the feminine touch, and the fans again just added to it and made it even more glamorous. Again, that's one of my favorite songs as well. I wish I would have had the femme guy section. I was like, oh, so jealous. Give me a pair of heels.
Yeah,
you would have ate it up. You would have ate it up.
I love the intro as well when they pop up on the end stage, and then they do like the really dramatic walk back, and you have the orchestra, going. It's so great.
Those boys were living their best lives.
Yes.
Oh, the drama. I love it.
I love it.
Yes. I also have to give props because Biology, of course, is one of the most iconic choreos, I think, for Girls Aloud. Everyone was doing the chorus together. But I actually loved all the new choreography in it as well. So props to you for that. Yeah.
Well, again, Beth just wanted to find that balance between what was and what's now. And I think she really found a happy medium where the fans wanted to see the iconic move. And like Promise, again, keeping the original choreography for it. And again, it was just her finding that balance between not changing it, by just bringing it to life a little bit more, which I think she got a spot on, because as a fan, you weren't like, oh my God, it's all new. You were like, oh, I recognize this. It still has the same essence. It's just slightly heightened a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I'm a new fan, but Chris has introduced me into this group, and being able to see them, I'm telling you, the emotional person right here, I was silent for the very beginning of like the first couple songs.
The entirety of Untouchable, you were just jaw open.
Yeah. And I was sitting there like, didn't say a word. Chris is trying to interact with me. I'm like, and then what snapped me out of it and made me go, was something new. The choreography was so epic. Like watching the girls come down the catwalk with an army was so impactful. Like it was simple, but the tightness of it, the sharpness of it, the guys all of you behind them doing the full out choreography, it broke the curse of my like stupor. But yeah, I was like, wow, okay, hello, they're here. Choreography was so good. The musical direction was great there. The moments of you all just posing and hitting those marks.
Yeah.
Oh, gags.
Again, I worked on that number with Jeanette, the other assistant, and Beth. And again, Beth had such a clear vision of what she wanted. We added a few like bits of choreography to it, but she already knew from day one exactly what she wanted that number to be. It was the opening number, so she was like, it needs to be in your face, big, bold, and just say anything and everything without having to say nothing. That's what you wanted. And I think it did exactly that.
Yes, cool. Boy, y'all did your damn thing. And you just kept doing it because we're getting on to Act 2 now, and we have Wake Me Up, Sound of the Underground, Girl Overboard, No Good Advice, Graffiti My Soul, Long Hot Summer, and I'll Stand By You. So you have all this going on. You're bringing on the second act, and it's like, while the girls are changing, the dancers have the responsibility of keeping that energy up and also setting the scene for what's next. So how do you all figure out how to make these moments impactful?
Well, I think as dancers, I think we need to, I think people do this, but I think it needs to be spoken about more that we're not just dancers. Yeah. We have to learn to communicate through movement. And I think that was perfect, you just said, like, how do we set the scene? And it's understanding what the track is, understanding the feeling of the track, and then how can you embody that to bring that out without having to say anything. We're just using our bodies to express what the song is meant to be, meant to feel like. Like, Wake Me Up, there's a lot more aggressive. Like, the girls are coming out on motorbikes. There's like loads of strobing, so the movement has to kind of relate to that. And then how you dance emotionally has to then come out as that as well. So it was really great when we got to sit and talk through every song and what every song meant and what was the intention behind every song, which then helped to create those scenes and bring those scenes to life. So it wasn't like we were just coming out and performing to every song in the same way. No, we had to really think about each song was completely different. So we had to change the way we moved and the way we felt and what the intention was that we were trying to portray out between every single song. Because then you go from Wake Me Up, and then the next time we really come on stage is Go Overboard. Those are two completely different songs in flavor and feeling, so you have to completely change that and your intention as well. And that was something, again, that we sat down and we spoke through, and we tried to do our best to get the boys to understand that, and they all did pretty much the whole entire show. Like, they worked so hard, and they were really good at switching their mindset. Like, the really feminine guys being able to switch from being really feminine to really masculine at the same time. Like, even that alone created such a diverse show. Because you weren't just watching a bunch of dancers, you were watching characters throughout.
Yes, y'all were playing the characters with the capes, and you were shaking your backs. I mean, we were at the end of the catwalk. I was eating that evening. Y'all were definitely serving. So this section includes Girls Aloud's more rock-oriented tracks like No Good Advice and Graffiti My Soul. So we noticed that these songs gave the girls and the dancers a lot more opportunities to just have fun and interact with the audience. Are there any fun moments that you remember from these interactions?
Oh yeah, like the thing is, the fans are crazy. They are nuts, and half of them are halfway drunk by that point anyway. So people want to get on stage. People pointing. People be like, "Call me," writing numbers on pieces of paper. Be like, "I'll see you later." Like, it was hilarious. But again, because those are the songs that we were able to interact with the audience a lot more, we were able to really fully connect and look at people and like bring them into the energy that we were creating on stage and create that like wholesome feel of the show. Because again, it was really easy to just be like, "Oh, we're performing out," instead of like that connection. I think that section of the show feels like that, and it needed that as well. And I think again, that's something that Beth wanted to implement is that yes, we're doing a show, but also it needs to bring everyone together to be in the same space at the same time, the same feeling. So that's probably one of my favorite parts of the show, the moments that I get to really connect. Like the end of Jump, we get to like look out and like, oh my God, like it's happening. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, I have to say the crowd interaction throughout the show was amazing. Like, we go to so many concerts and I have never had this much interaction from both the artists and the dancers as well. Like, it was so much fun. So yeah, props to all of you for sure. So another song in this set was Long Hot Summer, which it was revealed that was actually added as a permanent slot to the set, like very late into the rehearsal process, because it was originally part of like a rotating situation. What was kind of behind that decision? Was it just because that song was the most fun to perform?
It was based off the crowd reaction.
Okay.
It was based on the crowd reaction. Like, every single night the crowd really responded to that song. And the more we did it, the more they were responding to it as well. So I think that was just a decision to keep it. But yeah, it was decided like after the first couple of shows. So it wasn't even the rehearsal process. We had started the tour, we were on the road, we did longer summer, and then the following day we were going to change it. But the reception of the first show, we were just like, let's just do it a few more times to see how they receive it. And then it was just like, no, we have to keep it. We have to keep it. So that happened like five or six shows in. Then we decided to keep the song. Yeah.
Wow,
nice.
nice.
I mean, I have to say that one tends to be one that's kind of forgotten, I think, among the Girls Aloud discography, but this tour gave it its moment.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
Like,
We're
and the
living.
choreography for it, again, Beth creates such a little iconic moment with the little shake. Like,
Yes.
great. Love
We
it.
were all doing it. We were all doing the choreography.
Yeah.
That's right.
We were. So are there any favorite dance or creative moments for you during the second act?
Yeah, I think Hot Long Summer was probably my favorite.
Respect. It's like, listen,
Yeah.
I'm
This
stand
was,
on business
again,
with this one.
So it's like so fun, so
Yeah.
interactive. We got to play around with the girls. We got to play around with the audience. There was a vocal choreography, but it wasn't too much. It just felt really balanced as a number. Like it felt like there was just so much within it that you could really play around with it and just perform and then really, really enjoy it. Like you can submerge yourself in the song and really, really just commit and enjoy it and be in with the crowd without having to be so in your head about the choreography for it.
Right.
Like that was definitely a moment in that second act that you're like, oh, this is fun. Like I'm loving my job.
Oh,
Yeah,
that was
for
also
sure.
great in the set as well, because I feel like the 5 songs before it are just like the energy's so high for those. So
Yeah.
then it kind of coming down a little bit for Long Hot Summer and then going into I'll Stand By You. I thought the transition of that was great.
Exactly.
I have to say, No Good Advice was probably my favorite track in this act, and maybe in the whole show, but just energy-wise,
Really?
because the crowd went crazy for No Good Advice. Like everyone's screaming that like bridge and chorus together.
Yeah.
It felt like, you know, you were at like a Blink-182 show or something. It gave that kind of like more rock, like mosh
Yeah.
pit
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
No,
And
100%.
so that
100%.
was just such a peak in energy, and I had some great interactions as well, like during that. So that was a highlight for sure.
No, that was again one of my favorites too. Like it, the number as well, that it happened so naturally, putting it together. It took a while to like figure some of the parts out because it moved a lot. But once it slotted everything into place, again, it's a really cool number to dance. Like I really enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed it.
You know what? Listen, I gotta say, even though you like the free stuff, the free flowing, your 8 counts are solid, okay? Girl Overboard was so good. The circle formations and then the cannon in that bridge section. I was
Yeah.
sent. I was like,
Yeah, that was all Beth as well.
stuff like, I know
love
you guys
that.
like the free flowing, but when I saw that, I was like, bro,
Yeah.
if I get a budget, man, I'm gonna get myself some
Yeah.
male dancers too. I mean, it just goes back to what we were all just saying. Like, you're not just in the background; you are a part of the picture, and you included the
Yeah.
artist in the picture. Even when they sit on your lap, sometimes and the girls are just dancing on you go, and you guys are dancing around them. It just felt not like, oh, we hired these blokes. You know what I'm saying? It felt like we're a team.
And,
You
and
know,
what was
so-
really what was really refreshing is that I've worked with so many artists over the years and some incredible artists. But the level of respect that these girls had for us dancers from day dot, just for people that have never really like met these guys before, and from the get go, they were so welcoming. They were always looking out for everyone, making sure everyone was good, checking in on everyone. Like they were just continuously just like wanting to just make sure we were good 24/7. Like they were incredible bosses. Like and you know what? I feel like I've made some incredible friendships. Like they are beautiful human beings. Beautiful.
I love to hear that.
Yes. All right. So moving on to Act 3, we have Sexy No No No, On the Metro, Jump, Call the Shots, and Something Kinda Ooh. And then, of course, there was the encore of The Promise as well. So in the final act of the show, we talked a little bit about it already. The Sexy No 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 intro is so good. That was such an amazing highlight for the dancers. And you all go so full out. Like, that was amazing to watch.
Out.
Yes. So Stefano, I believe, was given kind of the center role for this.
Yeah.
Right. So what goes into highlighting all the dancers and their different strengths just kind of throughout the show?
Again, go back to Beth in her mind, the way she was. She kind of like did it all on paper, figured it all out. But we learned that, a week before we went into production. So that was one of the last numbers we learned. And it was a lot, obviously, to try and put it in while you've got all of this other show to remember all of this stuff. But I think she watched everyone during the rehearsal process, and then she decided who was going to be where for that number, just based on what she saw in the room. And I think Stefano was the right person to be chosen to that whole beginning part. Like, the boy is insane. He's unreal. What he can do is just off the Richter scale. He's flying mid-air, just lands like a leaf. Just so light on his feet. I'm like, Jesus Christ, how'd you do that? You're an alien. But yeah, no, Sexy or No was a big number. That was probably the most tiring number, I'm not gonna lie. That was a hard one.
I could see that. Yes.
Yeah.
I do have a great video of you doing it as well at Brighton Pride from a couple of days ago. I will send that to you.
But yeah, no, it was definitely a hard number. And there were so many elements, like us coming up from the men lifts, the boys coming off of the main stage, then having to run back, then come back to the whole dance break, then go up again. Like, there was so much going on. And again, Beth really, she just knows where to play things to take the audience's eye while something else is happening on the main stage and being sorted out. Like, she's just great at that. Which then the audience was being set for the girls to get onto it. So by the time the lights came back on, boom, we're ready to go into the number.
You are so right. I did not notice.
Also, we'll talk about Brighton Pride in a minute, but I love the new change of some of them climbing out of the stairs.
Yeah.
That was so cool. It was kind of creepy. It was great. Love that. Just wanted to point that out.
Right? I loved it too.
That is so fun. That is so fun. So, speaking of fun and funny things, and there's been some things going on the internet, some footages, some memes, if you will, especially with Nadine having various issues with the confetti that comes out after jump, So did you have any similar issues doing all that choreo, doing something kind of ooh?
Babe, we're literally choking in that confetti. Like, I've inhaled so much of it. I've slipped all over it. I've got it in my eye. It's gone everywhere. That confetti, it would go everywhere. But we had no control over it. But it depended on where the aircon in the arena is. So when it blows out, if the aircon's coming towards us, it's going to come back onto the main stage or blow whatever direction the aircon is going. So we were just hoping for the best every night, seeing what happened. We could never know what it was going to do. The amount of times that I would get off stage and be popping it off, out. It was hilarious. But we just had to roll with it. The amount of times we slipped over it, it was brilliant. We even had to get leaf blowers on stage to get the confetti off.
Yeah, it's tough because you can't rehearse confetti because then everyone's like, oh, there's confetti in this show. Not even you can't rehearse confetti.
We can't rehearse that. It's going to do whatever it's going to do. So at this point, we should go with it.
Man.
And the thing is hilarious. She's so funny. I wish she had her own TV show and the camera just followed her around because she's just going to say something that is iconically brilliant, but it's not even knowing that she's doing it. And that confetti was the bane of her life every single day. Every single day. It was brilliant.
Oh gosh, that's so good. I mean, I'm still finding the confetti in random my luggage. It does get everywhere later too. So
amazing.
Yes. So yeah, any favorite kind of creative or dance moments for you during this third act that we haven't talked about yet?
I think Sexy No for sure. That's a big one. Again, I did some on the Metro. Oh, the Metro was really cool because it was one of the first songs that we worked on. I think Jump is probably my all-time favorite moment in the show because of how it's probably one of my favorite songs of them. Just it reminds me of my childhood.
Yeah.
It's a great feel-good song. I'm very energetic as a person anyway. I'm sure you can tell. I'm very hyped 24/7, so that song embodies me a lot. And I think it was probably the moment in the show where you just felt so free, choreography wise. You just felt you could just do and be. And it just felt amazing. It felt amazing. And then going into what was the last song before the Promise?
Something Kind of Ooh.
Something Kind of Ooh. Something Kind of Ooh. Again, iconic song. I always wanted to perform that song with them, even when I first started dancing, and then get to do it on this tour. And I watched that tour 10 years ago because one of my best friends was on the tour, and I was like, I need to do that. And I getting to do it, I was like, it was so good. It was so good. So those two, that second act, Jump, and then Something Kind of Ooh.
Nice.
Top tip, for sure.
Something Kind of Ooh is probably, but you almost did the entire original choreo. Yeah, very, very iconic. But yes, props for the new On the Metro choreo as well. We were both, doing all the On the Window right back at you. It's so much fun. Loved that ripple for like right in that bridge as well. Yeah, really great moments. Also, in terms of just navigating the stage as well, I loved the movement of it all. Like two girls coming forward, two girls staying back on the sides. Like you really utilized the whole stage as well. So yeah, just loved that.
No, I loved it. Yeah, it was, again, I think we had the set, so we were like, we have to use this to the full capacity. There's no point of just going, oh, we've gone to the front once now, let's just not go again. No, it was like the stage became so immersive, so we wanted the class to feel like they were in this zone with us the whole entire time. So Beth really wanted to use the whole entire stage, and I think she pretty much got it spot on. Throughout the whole show, you just never felt like you were in one place. You were moving around constantly, and I feel like you could have sat anywhere in that arena and you would have got a really good angle off the show because she didn't leave nothing sort of. Like, she thought about every single angle for sure.
Oh yeah, it was definitely felt. But yeah, my favorite is probably On the Metro too, for all the reasons he stated. And Kimba and Nicola were highlighted. I was like, oh, because Nicola was like my favorite when I first got into group because I was like, oh my God, it's a ginger. Oh my God. So it's like, whoa, they're right here in front of me. So yeah, it was nice to kind of see that. It was really well put together. And the final performance of the night was The Promise with the white suits and the big pink feather fans and that beautiful tribute to Sarah. So how did you balance all the celebratory feelings and the melancholic feelings when performing this one?
In rehearsals, that was a really tough one. A really tough one to have to listen to it and hear a voice and just we have to get used to it. But the way we thought about it as well is it had to be a celebration. That was the only way we were going to get through it. And that was also the only way that people would have left the building off the show on a high. It was creating a moment of celebration. And I think, again, Beth did that spot on. The tribute was beautifully done. And I think the whole performance and the feathers and the boys in the suits just added to how iconic Promise was when it first was released. And it was also not a copy, but it was a remake of what they did for the Brit Awards back, I think it's 2008, I think. And so, yes, we wanted to bring that same sort of thing to life, for sure. And I think she managed to do that perfectly, to be quite honest.
Yeah, totally. It was a moment. I was like, I'm not gonna cry. I'm sure. Like, I had to pull my face down.
Yeah, the way the screen was used as well in the front for most of the tour as well, like that was so beautiful as well. Yeah. Oh man. All right. So of course you literally just came off stage a few days ago from performing at Brighton Pride as well to kind of end this run. And I was surprised by how many changes were actually made to the show. So you only had 1 week to rehearse. So how was all of that for you?
Well, it was chaos. It was chaos, but chaos in a way where it was like, we knew we had to do the work. We knew that time was, so we just have to learn everything now. Like, obviously there was new songs added, so we had to do new numbers. And we were literally creating the numbers in the morning, teaching them in the second part of the morning, and then going ahead, moving on to the second number in the afternoon. And obviously the set design then changed because of the stage at Brighton Pride. So we had to rearrange the whole entire show to fit on that stage and those different levels that we had. So there's a lot of changes. So our bodies were used to what the show was, so having to switch that and not let your body go into autopilot was probably the hardest thing. Everyone learned the new numbers quite well, and that was fine, but I think it was more the not going into autopilot because your body's gonna want to do something because it's used to it, and actually, no, you're not going back over there now, you're going this way. So there's a lot of those changes. But again, the girls are such pros. They had it down in the first 3 days. I was like, wow.
Ooh, yes.
Like
yes.
they had it down the first 3 days. So yeah, no, it was a tough week, but again, it's Beth. There's no room for question. We just go.
Yes.
Right.
So it has to happen. It has to happen.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
let's just make it happen.
It was impressive. I think I was telling you before we started, like when the stairs started getting set up, I was surrounded, by all the super fans who also arrived there very early in the morning to secure those spots. And we were like, oh my gosh, there's brand new staging. Like we really thought it was just going to kind of be, more like the intimate show that you had done at Shepherd's Bush, just kind of on the kind of just a flat stage. So yeah, really appreciate all the effort that went into that. And you've mentioned all the new tracks that were added too. There was the Madonna cover Material Girl. There was Watch Me Go, which I was so excited was in there. And then also The Loving Kind, Kings with Olly Alexander. So tons of new choreography, especially Material Girl. There was a lot going on for you guys there. So how was it for you working on these new tracks? Any highlights from them?
Material Girl was super fun, like super fun to do. Again, it was one of those things that it naturally just came to everyone. Beth had the idea. She just started putting the choreography on everyone on the spot. We all pretty much just learned it at the exact same time. Again, loved the track. So I was like, loved that we were doing a cover. But Watch Me Go, I think, was probably my fave to do because I loved the song. And I was like, after we did this for Brighton Pride, I was like, oh, I wish I was on the tour because I want to do that number over and over again. And like, it was so fun. So yeah, no, again, it all just kind of like fell into place. It's just weird, like everything kind of like happened. There wasn't that much of like this doesn't work. It was like, let's just go with it and see what comes out. And it kind of just felt like that, movement wise. And I think staging as well, actually. Beth kind of like was like, I see it going somewhere. So I'll play this track and move. And it's like, okay, I see it. You go ahead and it's kind of like maneuvered it all.
Wow, what a brain.
Nice.
What a mind.
What a brain.
I love that. So all of it is done now. You can rest a little bit and kind of maybe dance in your sleep and twitch a bit. But what are some big takeaways from this experience with Girls Aloud that you will carry forward into your dance career?
I think, again, building the friendships that I did, appreciating the love for dance that I have, it revitalized how I feel about dance. I was planning to retire this year, just because I'm heading more into choreography and directing and stuff like that. And it just gave me, I don't think retiring is really an option for me. I think I can put it to one side, and if something comes up that I really want to do, I think I'll go ahead and do it. But for now, I think it's given me a way of going, okay, progression, what's next? Where do we move from here? We've danced for 15 years, okay, and I almost like accepted that I have to grow and let go of dance a little bit, but not fully. Because before I felt like, off this tour, that's it, I'm never going to dance again because I want to choreograph more. But I think this just gave me the mindset and the choice that actually it's not about giving up or it's about letting go of dance. I think it's more putting it to one side and focusing on the next step and to grow and change and see what else I can go in my progression. And then if something comes up that I really want to do, I can always go back and do it. So yeah, that's something that it helped me come to terms with it. And also make the choice for myself. Like, I felt like before I was being pushed to, focus more on the choreography because a lot of it was coming in. But I think this time I was like, you know what? I've made the choice to do it now, so I'm going to do it out of my choice. And I think the show really, really helped me come to terms with it and like enjoy, almost like mourn as I was going through the shows, going, okay, constantly thinking about it and stuff. Yeah, so that's definitely something that I'll take away from the show because was very, very, very special. It was almost like, again, a full circle moment to being one of my first jobs when I came out of college about 16 years ago to now being probably one of my last ones. So I was quite proud that it was a full circle moment for sure.
Oh, come on, Pivot.
That's so beautiful. But yes, you are so talented. We're so thankful to you. You've been a part of so many big pop moments and have brought so much joy to so many fans. So yes, thank you so much for everything you've done. And we're excited to hear and see what you do next.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm choreographing a lot more. I have a few artists I'm working with. I'm doing a few TV shows. Can't really say much, but you'll see it soon. You'll see it soon. But yeah, like I think I just want to create magic. Really, I want to be able to. One thing that I've always prided myself is that my love for inspiring people. I aspire to inspire, and that's something that I've always wanted to do. Is when I teach, I want to be able to change my students' lives by fueling them with so much fire and flame that they can go and be their authentic selves. So, and I want my choreography to do the same. Again, like I said at the beginning, people say we don't change lives, but when you actually look at what dance does for people and how we can move people and change people in that moment in time, we do. We actually do. Like, people can go into a building and be totally depressed, and for those 2 hours completely lose themselves and get so much energy and endorphins and just, completely immerse themselves into a show. And we're a massive part of that. And I'm really, really proud. And I can, hand on heart, I can say that that's the reason why I do it. I love it so much. And it's to leave the building seeing how those people's faces look as they're leaving and how excited they are and how we move them. So yeah, that's something that I want to keep pushing. And I hope I get to inspire a lot more people around the world.
Let's go.
Yes. So where can people follow you on socials to keep up with what you're doing?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, and it's Claudimar with a 1 at the end. I don't know why I did that, but
because it's only you. It's only one you.
You're number one.
Exactly.
You're one.
The only one.
Number one.
So yeah, I'm mainly on Instagram. I just started off TikTok. I'm trying to understand it. But yeah, and it's the same, Claudimar 1 on TikTok as well. And yeah, I post a lot. Again, if you're in London, you want to come take classes, I teach random. I do pop-ups just because of work. So again, hit me up. And especially for students that can't necessarily afford, and then prices may be a bit too high, just hit me up. I normally have free passes that I give out to all my pop-up classes. So if you need it, just let me know, because we're in this together.
Oh, see, come on, let me like you.
We have to make a difference. We have to make a change. That's what we're here for.
Come. Oh, starting with the man in the mirror. Okay, but yes, a louder music fans, people who appreciate dancers. I hope you all have enjoyed this interview, and be sure to let CCTV know who you'd like to hear on the show, because we're gonna have a lot more guests, of course. But let us know who you want to hear. Okay. You can also message us at CCTV Pops on all social media, and you can join us on Patreon. Don't forget. And please give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell. And for our listeners, give us a rating and review on your podcast platform of choice. Until next time, that's Chris, that's Claud.
And that's Chantel.